This is Jane Marie.
And this is Soko.
You are now listening to the Queer Ambition Podcast.
The Queer Ambition Podcast is the only podcast celebrating rising LGBTQ professionals,
providing advice on navigating the modern workplace,
and discussing polarizing topics within the community.
Now listen up. Welcome to the Queer Ambition Podcast, and today we have Sabia. Sabia provides affordable doula services to all families in San Diego County area, with an emphasis on marginalized groups, such as people of color, LGBTQIA, and low-income families. As reproductive justice advocates, she has also joined the movement to improve Black mental health outcomes by not only providing doula support, but also providing education to support, educate, and empower the community. Welcome to the podcast, Sabia.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm busy and kind of overwhelmed at life, but good.
That's the life of a doula, though, right?
Yes. Something
All right.
like that. How are you guys?
Good. And I'm thinking, because some people might be slow like me. In case you don't know what a doula is, don't worry. We're going to explain that for you shortly, or rather, Sabia will. But we're good. So glad to have you today. We've been trying to get you.
I know. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
We've been busy. You've been busy. We just celebrated Jane Marie's 30th birthday. So
happy birthday.
For that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's hard to catch me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to catch me because I'm like, I can do this day. And then something happened. I'm like, wait, I can't do that day anymore. Like, it's crazy.
So I'm glad we finally got a chance to connect. So let's roll into some icebreaker questions. Wow. Okay. First one is, if you can only eat at one restaurant forever, what restaurant would it be?
I'm going to say there's this Mexican, it's like a Mexican seafood place, and it's in San Diego. It's in Hillcrest in the Gay Area. It's called Oscar's Mexican Seafood. Mm-hmm. But they have these tacos, the taco especial, and it has like scallops and fish and like all these different like fresh seafood. It has a little spice on it. And it has a smoked fish, and you put that sauce, whatever salsa you like, on top. I can eat that literally every day. So yeah, that's my answer.
Jane Marie?
I hear you. Damn. I'm gonna say, if I could eat at one restaurant forever. So there's this little Jamaican spot right in the corner of like, what is it? I think it might be like Clarendon and Avenue D in Brooklyn. I don't even know the name of it, but it's like a hole in the wall, and they have the best curry chicken. Like, I'm not playing. And yes, I would eat anything off their menu every day for the rest of my life. That's what I'm saying.
Damn.
I'm here for the hole in the wall. It's like when it's a hole in the wall, you're like, I know it's probably a little dirt going on. It's not even really that sanitary, but this food's gonna be bomb.
Absolutely. I'll take, a little bit of dirt with my food.
For real.
That's gross.
I'm taking the dirt. I'm sorry.
It tastes good. Go ahead. What you think, Soko?
It's hard for me. I don't know. I don't have a one restaurant that I could eat at forever.
Oh, come on. Not even Atlanta?
I mean, I'm trying to think of a restaurant that has like a good selection of foods that I would be able to eat. Maybe. What's a place called? Hold on. Now it's escaping my mind. I know the name.
That'd be funny.
Sorry. It's an all vegan restaurant. Now it's going to bother me. Now I have to Google it.
Thank you for making us look all crappy. We're like curry chicken tacos. Right? You're like, it's all vegan.
Guys.
Thanks, Soko.
Tofu.
Not even. And now I have to find the name of the place. There's R. Thomas, which is like a 24/7 spot, which is really nice, and it's vegan. So it's like great to have a 24-hour 7 spot. Like even after the club and you're drunk, you can go
That's
there
true.
and get food and not have to worry about eating shitty. Oh, Loving Hut. They have multiple locations.
Oh, Loving Hut. Yeah, they have them out here too.
Yeah, I love Loving Hut. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Try it out.
Yeah, I agree. I co-sign.
Okay. If you could live any historical figure's life, which one would you choose?
Historical. That's hard. I'm split between like two people in my head that are historical. So one is like classic, and I know these people are still alive, but they're making history. So the one classic person would be Oprah, because everything that Oprah touches is gold. Okay, I don't care if it's a book, I don't care if it's toothpaste. It doesn't matter. Everything she does is gold. But then my second would be Cardi B. I just want to see. I just want to see what's going on.
That's surprising as fuck.
I want to see.
B?
Wait,
because I'm ratchet.
We
Are you
asked
serious?
you about a historical figure, and you said Cardi B.
Listen, Cardi is making history. Okay, all right. She's making some Billboard situations.
I'm right with you.
Making some sales that they didn't expect from her. She came from the hood. She's a stripper, and she's making history. I don't care what y'all have to say. Okay. So those two.
All right,
J. Marie.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, I'm thinking civil rights movement. Like, who can I be that was like super affecting change and kicking ass? But then when I really think about it, I think about like, I would love to be like a creative person in terms of like musically creative. So then I think like Langston Hughes, and just poetry and just really being awesome at writing and also legendary and iconic. So I'm going to say Langston Hughes.
I'm trying to think. Who would I want to be? I know the name.
Whitney Houston.
Not Whitney Houston. So first I was thinking I would want to be like Queen Elizabeth or Jackie Kennedy.
Ooh, Jackie O is a good one.
I can see you being Jackie O.
She was fly.
She was cool. She was maybe Jackie Kennedy. I just want to see what it's like to be married to a president in those times.
And be white.
Wow, I didn't think about it. And also be a white woman of privilege. I want to see what it's like to be a white woman of privilege.
That's a whole different
level. Also too, and I think Sokos too, like you're also kind of like, you're fashionable. So like for me, I can see you being Jackie O and being able to like pull all those looks.
Right.
Have all those things. Like,
that is
like you've always been pretty fashionable. So
right. Yeah, Jackie Kennedy, for sure.
All right, good answer.
All right. What's the last one? Okay. Wow, I had so many. Who was your childhood actor/actress crush?
Laura Winslow.
Oh, okay.
Laura Winslow was like, I was like, wow. I was just like, I guess like maybe everyone that was kind of being depicted at the time on television were always like, if they were a person of color, they were like light skinned and like, they had like a certain look or they were mixed or whatever. But I felt like Laura Winslow was like, oh, this is like a person that was like, I don't know, just seemed realistic to me, like more like down to earth. I don't know. And she was kind of sassy. And then you see her transition from like, early teens to like grown Laura. And she was just like, And it was remember she had that short hair? Remember she had that short haircut?
Yes. I remember.
The short haircut took me over. Like I was like, oh yeah, we're together.
Gay.
So I definitely say
you're not gay, bro.
But for real, even now when I look back, I'm like, damn, Laura was definitely, she was the bee's knees. But yeah, so I'm gonna say Laura Winslow because that was the first person that popped in my head.
Okay. J. Marie.
Childhood actor / okay. So I had two. I'm gonna give you both. So Lil Bow Wow, definitely was in love with Lil Bow Wow. Because you just don't know the way you move so fast.
Oh my God.
I thought he was so cute. And I knew all his, I used to go on like the message boards, the Lil Bow Wow message boards as like a fan.
Oh my God.
I listened to his album every night before I went to sleep. I was like, oh, I'm so in love with him. Little did I know.
Cute. It's so dope. And then, do you remember Seventh Heaven? Jessica Biel's character in Seventh Heaven?
She was bad.
I thought she was, obviously I'm gay, so hot. Like
but Jessica Biel also, she looked kind of gay too though. Like I feel like she gave us like tomboy / like fan. Yeah, she did.
But she was in shape. Anyway.
Yeah, she's still in shape. Shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to think, guys.
Kelly Kapowski.
Who the fuck?
Kelly Kapowski. What?
I remember Kelly Kapowski. Yeah, I was into her.
Topanga.
Oh, Topanga is bad though. Like there's so many you can go through. But you know what? I'm gonna go with people that I dreamed of often, you know, because I was so obsessed with them. And it was sister, Tia and Tamara. I dreamed about like I was kind of like obsessed with them a little bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like Tia is my favorite. But I like both of them equally actually.
I don't even know the difference.
Like I would take both of them till this day. Listen, Tia, Tamara, if you're listening, I will take both of you at the same time.
They have
which one had the mole on her face?
Tamara.
So that's Tamara. Okay, well, I like the one that doesn't have the mole on her face, and not because of the mole, but because she just seems more like, the one with the mole seems like more goofy. The other one gives me, she gives me more like sexy, like draw me in vibes. But I'm with you.
Y'all are wild. You got all of this from people that were on.
No, it is what it is.
You know, when you're a baby gang, you're sitting there watching TV, you haven't come out yet. You're thinking about life. You're like, I think I like her. Do I like her how my friends like her? Or do I really like her? Right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, super short segue. When did you guys like know that you liked women on a different level? Like, and what was that? What was that trigger where you were like, this is different?
So I think I realized when I was around I think I was in like first grade, and I remember I said something about like another girl looking cute, and I remember my friends were like, "Ooh, why are you looking at her like that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I didn't know that like other people didn't do that, I guess. And then as I got older, I started to realize like I look at women in a different way, and not all of them, just the ones I have crushes on.
Yeah.
So, and then when I met Soko, that's when I actually was like confirming for myself that I was gay as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and we got to circle back to that because I
yeah.
Where did you? I feel like you were super early in the game.
No, you know, I've always been super queerish, but I think I realized maybe around kindergarten, first grade, because you know you play house.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, house was it.
House was it, and I was a daddy. So
Me too.
You were the daddy, bro?
I was definitely the daddy.
And I had a wife. So like that's how I knew.
Yo, so I'm gonna tell y'all this wild story. I feel like I haven't told many people this, so this is an exclusive. So when it's funny because we're all talking about like kindergarten age. That must be like a crucial point because like in kindergarten, you know, when you used to go get a rug, you would go get like a mat to go like sleep on for nap time. Well, they had like a stack of mats, and this little girl who was like always kind of known as being like a little advanced for her age is what they called it back in the day. I grabbed the same mat as her, and she touched me to like make me let go of the mat. But like I didn't think it was wrong. I was kind of just like it was just like, and I just kind of let it go. And I was a little scared, but I think I was also kind of like, that wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, you kind of like, wait, what is this feeling?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I just got another mat, and I like never spoke about it ever again.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So she groped you. She got
pretty much.
Yeah, she definitely groped you.
Yeah, I definitely got molested on the low.
Let go of my mat.
Over a mat, bruh. She touched my whole vagina.
Yeah, like I'm gonna grab the vag. Yeah, now that you're older, you're like, I like getting my vag grabbed.
Yeah.
Thanks to her.
But don't grab him by the pussy. That's not meaning that that's okay. All right, now how did you two meet?
All right, I'll let Sabia tell it.
Yeah, so let me think. It was, I forgot what year it was. 2006?
6, 7?
Yeah, I think it was 6. I think it was 6.
6, yeah.
And so we had, both of us had went to William Patterson in the college or university or whatever. And then what happened was I came in, I knew no one. And then my roommate at the time, whatever her name was, she pretty much knew that I was kind of like dating this one girl from back home. But that's a whole nother story. Whatever. But like, I was dating this one girl, and then me and her broke up. And so she was like, the girl, I think her name was Kia. She was like, oh, I have this one friend that's gay or whatever. And I was like, how do you know I'm gay? But she had picked up on the signs while I was talking to a girl. I really wasn't out yet. So then she introduced me to, is it like Letitia? Is that her name?
Lulu.
I don't remember. Lulu, yeah. Yeah. She introduced me to Lulu. And then I went over to like Lulu's room, and pretty much it was just like a gay soiree. And I was like...
And Soko was right in the middle. And like pretty much it was like I was in Lulu's room, and like pretty much every gay person was like coming in and out. And everybody was just like everywhere. And then I was like the new gay on the scene. So everybody's like, who's that? What's going on? Who's she? You know, then I was like young and snatched, you know, my shape was all nice. And I was all like, you know, I wasn't shy, but like I was new to like just being surrounded by gay people.
You were a shy baby lesbian. I remember.
Yeah, I was like new. Yeah, I was like new to the game. And it was like everybody was like, shh. And I was like,
that's very true. No, because like, wait, not to do too much, but Sabia got, she snapped, right? She snapped. When something like that come in, everybody's like, whoa, who's that? Who's that? So funny.
That's basically what happened. Like pretty much every time I would make a new friend, it was kind of like they were like, shh, shh, and I was like, okay. And then obviously I ended up with one person. You know who that person is.
I know who that person is.
Yeah, and we just ended up, and I'm still friends with her too. We're still cool.
Yeah.
And then it was just a whole really big gay year.
Yeah.
And then that's when I actually came out officially that I was gay.
So you guys go way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Babies, kind of like babies that we think we're grown, but we're still babies trying to figure out this thing called life. And I want to, because that point in life when you're 18, 19, just going to college, if you do go to college, I feel like you're really trying to figure out yourself. And those people that you're kind of figuring out yourself around are very important. And you're never going to forget those people in your life. You know? You're never going to forget those days and those people that you were surrounded by when you're trying to figure out your sexuality, especially in college.
I know, not at all. I remember like literally just sitting, I think we went, it was like pretty much the same day or the next day after I had met everyone. And I think we were in a car, and I remember like you was being flirty, and like the other one was being flirty, and I was just kind of like, I don't even know if I'm like gay or what's going on. And I was just like, I'll figure it out. And like 6 months later, I was like, I'm a lesbian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Funny. All right. So that's from the beginnings, Willie P days. If anyone's listening from Willie P, what's up?
Right.
Anyway, so now, you know, we're older now.
10 years later.
Yeah. Shit.
Mm-hmm. I know. Literally 10 years later. Like
it's
even
more than 10.
More.
It's like 12.
12.
Oh my God.
Y'all gotta stop talking about this though.
Okay. Stop counting it. Tell us a little bit more about like how you fell into being a doula and what a doula is.
So, okay, a doula is, I'll start with that. A doula is basically a support person that's trained to help a birthing person before, during, and after birth. So it can look like the person is pregnant and you're helping them with the education and whatever they need for that. During the time of the labor, you're there from beginning to end. So labor can start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and end that night, or it can end 3 days later. Who knows? You know, babies have their own mind. And then afterwards, it looks like if they have the baby, but they need support, because we live in a society where before you would have your whole community and your village will come and help you with your kid. But now because the way that America is set up, we don't really usually have that benefit. So they will hire somebody like myself to come in and help them, whether it's overnight care, during the day, education, what to expect, those type of things. So how I started off as a doula was I was in the medical field. I was working in Philly. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be a nurse. That's what I said to myself. I was like, I'm going to be a nurse. This is going to be great. And I started doing education and everything behind it. And then I started to really feel like I was kind of conflicted, because I worked in the hospital setting, like with all types of ICU patients, all types of people, as a nursing assistant, super hands-on. And I was like, I don't like the fact that we're pumping everybody with medication. I didn't feel like we were really treating them holistically. So the only type of person I didn't deal with was kind of like maternity and babies and things like that. So I was like, okay, I know I want to do that, but I don't want to do it necessarily in like a Western hospital system type of way. So I was familiar with doulas in Philly, but at the time I was thinking about moving because I'm a Sagittarius, I like to travel. So, so I moved to Massachusetts, but before I went there, I found this organization called the Prison Birth Project, and they were looking for volunteer doulas. So I was like, okay, like, what's this about? And basically from there, for 2 years, I worked with formerly incarcerated, and moms in drug recovery as a doula. So I did that for 2 years, and it really just started off I went into it more so like on an activist level, being like, okay, reproductive justice, everyone deserves to have their basic needs met, whether you're incarcerated, whether you're a drug addict, whatever, like these needs should be met. And that's how I kind of went into it. Didn't know necessarily that I was going to fall in love with being a doula, but then I did. And then I moved out here to San Diego, and I started off at a regular job. And then I seen how much, because there's a lot of money in San Diego with birth, because there's a lot of surrogacy, there's a whole different type of income level in San Diego. And I was like, why don't I do this professionally? And that's what I just started doing. And I just pretty much, a few months ago, like, gave my job to Deuces, and I networked my ass off, and I started making connections, started getting clients, and that's what I do full time now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, can we just take one step back? I really want to hear more about the prison project, and what it's like, and how does it differ from assisting women that are not in prison?
Oh yeah, there is a stark difference. So with that particular organization, what we would do every week is that we had a childbirth education class. So we would go into the prison, I think it was every Wednesday, and it would be there for like an hour. So the good thing was that we were able to bring food in. So we would bring like pickles and like all the stuff that pregnant people want. Because in there, they only really get like maybe one piece of fresh fruit a day. Their food is very limited, so a lot of them end up literally like constipated and like sick because their food is just not enough. And for their extra snack, they get like a cheese sandwich, and it's like, okay. So then we were going to the childbirth education class, and we didn't have a regular childbirth education. So childbirth education for someone who is on the outside is like, at 4 months, expect this. These are the comfort measures. These, all these different things about pregnancy. But for people that are incarcerated, specifically for Massachusetts, because the organization has spearheaded the anti-shackling law. Because before then, women would be shackled, or people would be shackled while they're giving birth, which is crazy. Where the hell are you going when you're in labor? Why are you shackled? Yeah. So after that happened, every time we go into a childbirth education class, our conversations wouldn't just go into what to expect. It'd be, were you shackled? Is there anything that we need to know about? Were any laws broken? Was there any time that you felt unsafe? Was there any time that, like all these different things? And then when we asked them, because a lot of them had children already that are in the system. So did you get your visit? Did your worker come up here? Who's taking care of your family? Have you heard from your kids? Like, I mean, their stress is totally different. So a lot of that would be the conversation. And then from there, they can choose if they want a doula, and they would just pretty much come up to us and ask us, can you be our doula? Whatever, we'll take it from there. So some people out of the group, if it was a person that was incarcerated, it would literally look like you waiting at the hospital. Maybe they'll call you and tell you, hey, I think I'm in labor. But the prison's not going to call you and say, hey, this person's in labor, be ready. It was kind of like the person will have to call you and say, hey, I think I'm in labor. Can you call my family? Can you camp out at the hospital? And I'll get there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
If they were formerly incarcerated, which a lot of my clients, because sometimes they do try to release them before they have the baby, depending on obviously what their crime is. They would release them, and a lot of them will go into a mandated rehabilitation center. In those settings, a lot of them are on, because in Massachusetts, they have a really big heroin problem, which is obviously taking over the U.S. in general. But so they will be on methadone, Suboxone, Subutex. So those are all drug maintenance medications. So birth is a little bit different, because sometimes our clients will maybe had used in the beginning, not knowing they were pregnant. Sometimes they didn't know they were pregnant. Whatever. It's not up to me to judge what they do. It's just up to me to help them in the time of need. And so after they have the baby, we'll be present for the whole birth. After they have the baby has to go through a withdrawal period. So for some babies, they can recover in a couple of days and they go home and everything's fine. But sometimes they're also in the hospital for a month, just withdrawing from whatever medication, whatever drugs were in the system. So it just looks different. It's just a whole bunch of different worries, different concerns, different conversations, gaining trust from different people for them to understand, like, if you use drugs during the beginning, I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know, so I know what I'm dealing with.
Right.
And I even have people that are now, that I work with that are still reaching out to me. Some of them are very successful and some of them are still using. And that's not up to me to judge. I'm here to support. So it was different because now that I deal with like regular people, when they tell me like, oh, I'm having this issue, I'm like, oh, you're not using drugs? Because I'm so used to like very like high inflated issues that when they come to me with what we see as regular issues, it's like, oh, I can handle this. So it's kind of like I went into it so hard and with such like, high needs and high stress that now I'm like, I can handle this. So it's interesting.
But being a doula naturally is stressful, right? Because you're 24/7 around the clock. You're always busy.
Yes.
You're on call all the time. How does that how do you live life being on call 24/7?
So it's a day-to-day thing, to be honest with you. Like sometimes, like for example, like this month, I was on call for 4 birth clients. One was due May 31st, 6/14, 6/15, and 6/21. So for our clients that are due, so if you're due 5/31, I'm on call for you 2 weeks before you have the baby because we know the baby can come between that time. And even if your baby's overdue, I'm on call for you until the baby comes. Obviously, it's not something that can be controlled. So like this past weekend, I had 3 clients go all in one weekend. So it took off my birth clients, but I still have postpartum clients. So I have currently 2 postpartum clients that I see where I go to their house and I work like actual shifts, like 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, or whatever is needed. So it's a constant balancing act, and the best part to go about it, honestly, is to build a community, and that's why the networking is so important. Because if I can't make it to a birth because I'm at another birth, I can call one of my doulas and say, "Hey, can you go to this birth for me?" You can't be a doula, honestly, and just work by yourself. Yeah. You can go to your clients and get hired, but you always have to express to them like, hey, I have a backup doula because I have several clients. And then for me too, because I have my organization and I'm building it, I also have to find time to have that time where I can just build organization and build an organization, especially when it is your own. And I'm applying for nonprofit status. It's hard because like every little checkbox, every detail is yours. You have to pick how you want this to run. What do you need this to say? You're so protective over your brand and like over your organization and what it means to people. Mm-hmm. So it's just a constant day to day. Like I try to get, enough sleep at night. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it looks like on Friday, I started off with 2 hours of sleep going to a birth. Mm. And then after my birth, I had up a postpartum visit. Then it's just like, it's ongoing. So I just try to like be healthy and try not to eat as much trash because that helps. Important. I try to get sleep.
That's so important. Yeah.
Try to drink enough water, try to eat healthy because I know sometimes I'm going to be burning a lot of energy off of very little sleep. And then also too, I think sometimes it's important to know, for example, like next month, I'm not taking as many birth clients because I need a break. And then when I do that, then I kind of get more postpartum clients to try to balance off the financial part of it. But it's a day-to-day thing.
Okay. And do you, I want to ask, because I'm curious, I want to dive into some other things, but so we went from prison birth to, doing your own thing out in San Diego. I'm going to imagine when you were doing the prison birth project, it was more of, I don't know, maybe the government or grants that are offered that help with those services, right? Mm-hmm. But absolutely. Now that you're doing your own thing for the village, how do you get income for that? Are they paying you out of pocket or is it Medicaid? How does that work?
Yeah. So I wish that doula services were always covered by health insurance. But it doesn't really work that way. For some, you can get reimbursed to a certain level for certain things dependent, but I mean, that's all technical and it's not normal. It's not the regular right now.
Right.
So a lot of what I do on the system that I'm building is I tell people my price point. So for example, I'll say from my price point, a full package for me is $1,000. And that includes me visiting you 2 times before you have your baby, being there for the birth, and then seeing you after. But what I do is that's different than kind of like what people do in San Diego, and not like everyone, but some of us. I kind of say to them, this is my price point, where can you meet me? So a lot of people, and I think going into this, especially because I specifically try to serve people of color, people will say, well, you're not going to get paid, right? Like, it's people of color, because we even have our own stereotypes of how we think of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, that was not the case for me. I would say, hey, this is my price point, where can you meet me? They'll meet me at $700. They'll meet me at whatever. And then sometimes they meet me at $600, and they'll say, hey, I can give you a couple $100, just give me some time. And that's okay, just work on it, whatever. And what that allows me to do is that if someone can meet me at a higher price range, that allows me to take a volunteer birth, you know, like, because I have to make sure that I am paid. And I think a lot of when you are someone who is a healer, someone who is like in this like hands-on, I want to help people, it's very easy to get kind of caught up in, well, what if people don't have the money? Then what do? I'm just going to keep giving and giving and giving. And I've learned from being a volunteer doula for 2 years that you have to really make a barrier and a boundary to that. So for people that can pay me, they pay me, and that allows me to be, you know, open for volunteer births. And then because of the network that I've built amongst other doulas, if I need work and I need money, I just say, hey, I need work. And most likely somebody's going to send me work. So it's really just like a communal thing. And it's kind of also having, at least for me, it's having faith in like the people that I serve. Because pretty much a lot of people told me, like, you're serving this population, you're not going to get paid. And I was like, oh, really? And then I came like, I actually had no problem getting paid. They gave me my full lump sum in, you know, one payment. So I just try to balance that, like getting paid, doing free births, having my network, so when I need more money, I make it. And also too, like, especially if you're like an entrepreneur, you're starting something. In 2018, I'm not going to hold you. There's no reason for you not to have money. You can sign up for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. I mean, you can sign up for like so many things. So it's like, it's so easily accessible. You can sign yourself up to work any hours that you want to work. So it's like, if you really want to make money, you just got to make your plan. What's my multiple streams of income? And then how I make that work for me. That's what I've been doing.
Damn,
that's facts.
That was a word.
Yeah. I mean...
if you want it, you got to go for it.
You do have to go for it. And multiple streams of income is so important. People always think like, I'm going to do this one thing. People who are making money, they don't just do one thing. They have multiple streams, 7 streams.
They don't. They don't. I mean, and if you make connections with people, and that's also too, like when it comes to income for me, I've learned again, like if you go into, and I mean, this is maybe my spirituality, right? But like if you go into a scarcity mindset where it's like, I'm just going to work by myself. I'm not going to let anybody in on this. I'm not going to whatever. That doesn't build income. You have to have a mindset of abundance. You have to have a communal mindset. Because once you open up yourself literally to everything, people start coming to you with opportunities. So like, for example, I did a talk at UCSD and they paid me for an hour. They paid me $300 to talk. Yeah. And I just talked about myself. Like I didn't talk about anything excessive. And it was because I've opened myself up for people to contact me, and they contact me with opportunities. I'm like, okay, I'll be there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what I do.
So you had said that now you had quit your job and now you're fully making money off of your doula career. So when did you make that decision, and were you scared to make it?
So in November of last year, I was like, fuck it. I need to do this doula shit 24/7. Like, fuck this corporate shit. No offense to anybody in corporate America, but it was like, for me, in the way... For me, like the way that I'm set up in my head, I was like, right, so this is my thought process. I'm thinking, okay, I work from 9 to 5. However, I'm getting up at 7 to get dressed. You got to sit in traffic, get to work. Then after work, you got to sit in traffic again. And then you're finally home and you're getting ready for the next day. So when I calculated all that time, I was like, man, I'm spending like at least 12 hours a day just dedicated to work, getting there, coming back, doing whatever. Then I looked at my check and I split that up, like not just my 8 hours, I split that up like how much time am I focused on work? And I was like, I ain't making shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not making shit for real. And I was like, and then the thing that wrapped me in my head was like, and you're telling me when I can go on vacation, when I can leave, when I can go. You're telling me all these different rules, and then I have to dress a certain way. I have to look a certain way. I got to sound a certain way.
Right.
So in November, I was like, oh, this is not going to work. So in December, I started working. I was doing both jobs. I was working at my job, and I was also doing overnight care for other people who were paying me way more hourly to sleep. Especially with overnight care, you usually get to sleep versus like when I was at work. So I slowly started, pushing in more doula work. I did a couple volunteer births just to kind of get myself kind of known in this area. I started networking with new people. And then by December, I was like, okay, February it is. I'm done in February. Actually, I think I lied to myself. I think I said April. And my best friend was like, you're not going to last until April because I know you. Once you're ready to go, you're out. So then January came, and then I pretty much just put in a personal leave because at my job, you can take a personal leave for no, they don't have to know your reason, I guess. It's just a personal leave. And I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks and see what I come up with. And I started making money. So after that, I was like, bye.
Right.
Goodbye.
And that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And like, instead of putting your 2 weeks of resigning, take it personally real quick. You need to handle some things and figure out.
Your personal reasons.
For your personal reasons and figure out what you want to do. If you're not going back, you know what? Listen, my life, I can't do it.
Exactly. And I mean, it was like, you have to think about it in a systematic way. So I like broke down, well, how much money do I need to make a week? And, what does it look like? And then I calculated like how much I was making working 40 hours and realizing that if I picked it up, I can make that much money in 20 hours as a doula. So for me, that's what motivated me. Like I can work less and get paid the same, or I can work 40 hours and get paid way more.
Right.
So for me, it was like, it really was a question. And was I scared? Yes, I'm scared every day.
Right.
Because I have really good weeks where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm rolling in dough. Mm-hmm. And then other weeks I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to call me. I'm waiting to like confirm a client.
Right.
And that's the risk that you take if you want to work for yourself. And for me, it has been worth the risk because I have freedom, I go places, I do things that I couldn't do when I was working, and I build my schedule. And if I want to take a break, I can also take a break. So that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah. So why are you only serving, or why are you primarily serving people of color?
So my need to serve people of color, my drive to serve people of color is because currently, specifically Black people, our infants are dying 2 to 3 times at the rate of white infants. Our women, well, I'm not even gonna say women, our pregnant people are dying 3 to 4 times the rate of white people. Research shows, because they tried to say different things like, well, maybe it's a socioeconomic status, maybe it's health, maybe it's like these different things that are happening in the Black population. Mm-hmm. So then they did other research and other studies where they gave people early prenatal care. They actually tested, in that research, they tested higher income people that are not worried about their health, not worried about their money. And every time they came down to the same conclusion that we were still dying, no matter what. So then they were like, okay, well, if these are not the reasons, then what is the reason? And it was racism and discrimination and bias that we experience in the healthcare system. So for me, that was it. I was just like, okay, we need someone that looks like us, right? To send a message. Because it's one thing for people to research, but it's different to have the cultural understanding and the background and the history and the experience to know like what's going on and how it feels. So that for me just kind of sealed it. And then as I was in San Diego, I realized when I started looking up doulas in San Diego, no people of color showed up. So I was like, okay, if there's no real people of color showing up, who are serving the people that are here? And then how can you serve those people if you don't know what they're going through?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of made the connection for me. And I do serve all types of people. I've served, whatever background you are, but mostly in San Diego at this point, when people are of color, they look for me. And mostly because I understand what we need to look at when we're in a hospital system. I understand what bias looks like. I understand what microaggressions look like. I understand what being dismissed looks like. And I'm able to direct and make an experience where they feel safer and they feel secure. So,
and what you just said, it all came down to racism and being treated and discriminated against. And I remember reading an article with Serena Williams and talking about the way she was treated.
And she's rich.
And she has money. And she was telling doctors that there's something wrong and they wouldn't listen. And she would tell them, like, listen, you need to give me a CT scan right now because something's not right. And that's when they find, and only because she has status and we're talking about Serena Williams. This is a household name, struggling with child's birth, and
exactly.
Think about.
It expands. It's like, it's like, if it's her, like someone who is well known literally all over the world, where people are ignoring her, then imagine what it is to be a regular person.
Right.
And the thing about being a doula, and I learned this more so working with incarcerated people. So incarcerated people are like the bottom of the hole for some people. They're like the bottom of the barrel. No one cares about them. They think they're terrible for whatever reasons. They have their thoughts or whatever. So one thing I learned as a doula, that when my presence is there, people start to get some act right in their system. Because they start to realize, like, oh, this person actually knows what she's talking about. She's been through these experiences before. She's going to ask questions. She's informed, right? So sometimes when we were in a room for incarcerated people, it wasn't necessarily, it was to be your emotional support. It was to educate you, but it was to be a witness. So, and I've learned that even with, now that I necessarily don't work for incarcerated people, I'm working with people of color. I'm working with, different like marginalized groups, that I am a witness.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a witness to someone being discriminated against. I'm a witness to somebody being dismissed. And sometimes it's just like somebody seeing that there's a doula in the room, they straighten up. Because they're like, oh, there's someone here. She knows. She's someone who will probably put in a formal complaint because she knows the process.
Right.
So being a doula is not only just the, like support. Sometimes it's literally just being in the room so that people know that my eyes are on you and you're going to treat my clients with respect this whole time. And I'm not going to leave the room. So like you're stuck with me for this whole entire time. And it helps.
Until we had this conversation with you, I never would have realized how important someone like you is to not only our community, but just to people that are giving birth all around the world. It's so impactful, the work that you're doing. So if you could just if you could give one piece of advice to expecting moms or expecting parents out there, what would it be?
Okay. So my first one would be, if you can get a doula, right? Just because we're like the all-around package. However, if you can't get a doula, then my advice would be to know your options. So to know your options, it's weird. There's so many things, right? So it's know your options and knowing policies. And I know that's hard to understand, but for example, a lot of people don't know their choices in a hospital. They get like, they see a white coat from a doctor and they see a nurse and they're just like, okay, all right, and they don't question it. They don't say, well, why do I need that? Do I have to get that? Is this urgent? Like you know your options and you know certain policies and whatever. I've seen that helps people to feel better and feel more empowered about what's going on, instead of just shaking their head and saying, okay, all right, the doctor said it, right? That's the whole thing. The doctor said it, so it must be right. And a lot of the reason why we are dying, unfortunately, is because we're not asking questions.
Right.
We're not saying, well, why is that happening? And what does that do? And what is the side effects of that? And, we don't ask those things. We just say, okay, you're putting this medication in my system. Okay.
I must need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I must need it. Instead of like asking those questions. So I guess like if they can't get a doula, then just know your options. Ask questions. Like, it's so important to ask questions and when you ask questions, it shows people like, oh, okay, I can't just give her this, you know, I can't just dismiss her. I have to actually be aware of this person and know that this person is paying attention.
Right.
So, yeah. And I have a whole bunch of advice, but that would be my one, yeah.
I have one more question. What's the main difference between a doula and a midwife?
So, a doula is a non-medical support person. So we go in, we educate, we do all those different things. We're there for the labor. We're not catching your baby. We may hold up a leg. We may reposition you. We may do things to the baby, you know, here faster.
Yeah.
We may do some positioning, but we're not here to catch your baby and give you an IV medication.
Okay.
So with doulas, the price range is usually $1,500 and below, depending on the experience. With midwives, I'm studying to be a midwife. I actually start my clinicals tomorrow. That started really weirdly. I wasn't supposed to start this soon. It just happened to come this soon. Mm-hmm. But with midwives, especially I'm going to be a home birth midwife. So I'll be doing delivering babies at home. And then some people do it at a hospital where they're delivering babies in a hospital setting.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How can the people reach you? How can they contact you if they want some doula? They can reach me, or if they just have questions. It's weird. I get people that reach me, that contact me for doula stuff, but then also sometimes they just want to ask questions, and I'm and sometimes it's not even just doula stuff. It's business stuff. So what did you do to get this? How did you get this much money or whatever? And I'm I don't have that much money, but okay. But yeah, so you can reach me at doulasabia.com. You can go to my organization's website, so forthevillage.org. You can email me, doulasabia@gmail.com. And that's usually, or you can Instagram. Most of my stuff is Doula Sabia, so it's pretty simple. So my Instagram is also Doula Sabia. So any one of those is fine. Perfect. And we're going to have all that information down at the bottom of the description. So you can contact Sabia for any questions, business or otherwise. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sabia. So glad we could have you.
Thank you. I have fun. Can we do this more often?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll invite you back for sure. Once you get your midwife clinicals down, we can.
Y'all gonna be where is this girl? Because it's a balance between doula work and midwifery. You're always looking at vaginas. Yeah. You're always dealing with them.
Ooh, that'll be a good conversation for next time.
Listen, then I come home and I gotta deal with my girlfriend. And I've had enough.
Another vagina.
Yes.
All right, well, have a good night. Thank you so much.